I made up a song about a disco in the Greek islands called The Scorpion. In the song, my friend Peter is drunk on ouzo and gets roughed up by the cops. The Scorpion, well, it's a story in itself, but I'm not going to talk about it now. Besides, you can listen to the song. Peter was traveling with John, Suzanne, Anne, and Rika. They're from Denmark, although Rika was born in Norway, but she's a whole other story. Anyway, we met at Parisa Beach on the Greek island Santorini. They adopted me into their group and we had quite a time on the black sands of Parisa, but that's a whole other story than the one I have in mind. What I really want to talk about is the night of the banana bar. After our communal beach existence, we moved to the main town on Santorini called Fira. Fira is perched on the rim of a huge volcano whose crater is now filled with the Aegean Sea. Ships pull up to the base of the cliff, and then you have to go up 6 billion weary stairs that'll turn your backpack-lugging legs to hummus or maybe pay to ride one of the ever-shitting donkeys. Recently, though, they've built a shiny cable car that fat bourgeois tourist types take up to the town to shop for an hour or two before returning to their fat cruise ships, never having seen the island. They probably never even heard of Parisa Beach, which is probably a good thing because they'd probably kill themselves if they knew of all the fun they were missing in their pathetic little shopping spree in Fira's overpriced, shiny little shops crowded along the little winding streets. Well, anyway, as street musician, I got a tip that money could be made on the path that leads the tourists to and from the cliffside cable car terminal. Peter performs too, so he came along. But his effectiveness was limited because he plays a quiet nylon string guitar as opposed to my street season thrash mash wall of sound steel string dreadnought. Peter's performance didn't lack feeling, just volume. I love his rendition of God Bless the Child But Hell. That's a whole nother story. Refer to my poem in Matthew Courtney's upcoming book. Well, anyways, it was a nice time, although the money wasn't great. He played some jazzy stuff, I played some bluegrassy stuff, and we must have played My My Hey Hey a dozen times because we did that one real good together. After a while, this Greek comes by and offers us a gig at his place called the Banana Bar. He says he'll give us 500 drachmas each and free booze. Peter's all, go man, go for it, and I figured, what the hell, so that night we were there. It was a pretty cool little bar, and it was cool that we had John, Suzanne, Anne, and Rika with us because the place was dead. Hell, so are we. After a long day of fun under bright Mediterranean skies, and for that matter, the last couple of nights, but that's a whole other story. Anyways, this place looked real new, or at least renovated. I don't know why it's called the Banana Bar. I suppose it did have somewhat of a banana feel, sort of cave-like walls painted yellow. Not a dimly lit place, but not too bright either. Nice, but empty. My friends drank. Them Scandinavians can really put it away. They were talking about going to another Greek island called Ios and asked me to come. I said no thanks because I had my reasons, which would make for a whole other story. But anyway, I didn't feel like drinking, so I took a walk and thought about how I really did want to go to Ios with them. By the way, Ios is where the Scorpion is. So I'm walking by the boat ticket place, and I figure, what the hell? And I go in and buy a fucking ticket to Eos. When I get back to Banana Bar, it's still empty, and we decide to split because we're beat. The owner tells us we should come back later when more people will come in. Peter and I, carrying our guitars, lag behind as we trudge beneath the starry, clear night Aegean sky. By the way, the Greeks have the same stars as we do in New York. I guess it's no big deal, and I suppose there's a whole other story to it. But anyways, we're moping up the road when a whole flock of smiling pretty girls going the other way mobs us. Where are you playing, they ask. Peter and I just look at each other and grin. Follow us, we reply as we turn back to Banana Bar. The rest of the Danes were too far up ahead to see what had happened and probably wondered what the hell we had disappeared to. Back at the Banana Bar, a bunch of locals and assorted others had turned up. Before you knew it, Peter and I had the Greeks doing a sort of square dance with the Canadians we'd brought in. The audience loved us, but I'm not so sure about the owners, though, because they cut our set short. But they did pay us and give us whiskey. Hell, that's show business. After the concert, we followed our half dozen or so Canadians to a Greek disco. Peter and I were in love with this one who had wonderful blue eyes. He danced with her. I watched. The next morning, I could be seen trudging down the 6 trillion steps with the 5 Danes to catch the boat to Eos. Now, what happened there is a whole other story.
What do you think?
You can play around with it now. You can